I'm looking for something I could beat the crap out of. Not many people will rent you a car for where we're going. All 414 miles of the Dalton Highway. 1974 was a historic year for Alaska. Work on the oil pipeline began, bringing with it enormous influxes of people, money, and machinery. Some workers on the pipeline brought in paychecks equal to those of professional athletes at the time. Construction camps were the size of small towns, and in just 3 years, the famous 800-mile Trans-Alaska Pipeline was complete, connecting the vast Prudhoe Bay oil fields on the North Slope with the shipping port of Valdez. It was called both an engineering marvel and a scar on the environment, and would change Alaska's political and natural landscapes forever. Over 30 years later, what remains is a pipeline still moving nearly 1 million barrels of oil a day, and a 414-mile service road originally used to haul equipment and supplies that's now open to the public. It provides one of the only access routes into the Arctic for travelers, tourists, and outdoor enthusiasts. Originally referred to as the Haul Road, the notorious, and still mostly gravel, Dalton Highway is both the rigid backbone supplying the North Slope and a proud notch in the belt for many world travelers. We'll be exploring the Dalton Highway from start to finish, with stops in the towns of Coldfoot and Wiseman. We'll meet people painting in the Brooks Range and conducting scientific research at a remote field station before venturing on foot into the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Then we'll continue on to Dead Horse at the end of the road before gaining access to the Arctic Ocean through the Prudhoe Bay oil field. If leaving from the nearest city of Fairbanks, add another 84 miles for a grand total of 1,000 miles round trip. Dalton Highway. We made it, mile 1 of the Dalton Highway. Whoa. There's an obvious difference between the cars beginning the Dalton Highway, which is us, beautiful, pristine white Ford truck we're driving, and the cars leaving the Dalton Highway at the end of their hundreds of miles of journey. Disgusting muddy brown. We'll probably look like that in about an hour, I would imagine. Smoke? Fog.
It feels like, when you look up the hill and you see nothing but a few scattered trees and the land is smoldering, it feels like another planet. See if I can find a log to pick up, that would be cool.
Maybe I should mention something like, don't try this at home. You'll get burned like I just did. Summertime means fire season. Last year, over 6 million acres burned in Alaska. Now, to put that in perspective for you, that's 43,560 square feet times 6 million. Anyway, as you can see, some of them, like this one right here, burned right under the pipeline. The Arctic Circle.
So where's the line?
Coldfoot is a must-stop along the Dalton Highway, if for no other reason, because it is the only food and fuel for nearly 300 miles. It is also well equipped with a state-of-the-art visitor center, helpful in planning your stops along the road, and is home to the northernmost bar in the United States.
Delicious.
Remnants of its pipeline glory days also exist here, so anyone wanting to experience northern Alaska circa 1975 can. There's a boneyard of equipment, and some of the prefab trailers used for housing during pipeline construction have been saved and reconfigured as a hotel.
So this is it. Our digs for the next 2 nights, the Slate Creek Inn.
And in we go. I asked for a room with a view, but I guess I didn't specify of what. At one point, pipeline workers must have been sleeping in this room. I don't know how many. Possibly 2, by the looks of things.
We're looking at the various and sundry ways one can jack up their truck on the Dalton Highway. Here's what looks like a little fishtail into the ditch, perhaps, right there. Running over a giant nail, right there. You can see here, this is a line of semis in the winter coming up the Dalton Highway, pushing each other up the hill. So far on our trip, we have not fishtailed off the road, or jackknifed, or ran over any big nails, or caught on fire. So far we're doing pretty good. We've avoided the major risks of the Dalton Highway. Fingers crossed.
Next stop, Wiseman.
The end of Wiseman Street, of course.
Wiseman was established as a supply point for the gold mining activity. So they were bringing those river freights up from the mouth of the Yukon, from St. Michael's. They were unloading off of steamboats onto flat-bottom scows, stern-wheeled boats. Those ran up the Yukon River and up the Kykuk drainage, 1,186 miles here to Wiseman. Wow. It was very remote and expensive gold mining.
We flew in and out of here before there was any roads. Our children were small. Our family sort of doubled the population.
Yeah.
If you don't maintain your own spirituality in a far-off place like this, you won't have any. I always tell people you could either drink a lot or pray a lot here. Kalabuck was a very loving, sweet person, and being the only woman in the town, I was extremely busy with children, so it was a kind of a respite to come over here and drink tea. She made the best tea on earth, and it was really someplace for me to go. I had a great rapport with Kalabuck. She died in my arms. She had congestive heart failure. I tried to revive her, and I couldn't. I was drinking my coffee one morning and looking out the window over here and wondering what kind of a neighbor I would have. And so it seemed like a good idea to see if I couldn't do something with this. And so I called her granddaughter, and I think it was probably 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we decided. And of course, we left all the underwear and socks and all that good insulation up in the ceiling.
Oh, that's what that is.
For atmosphere, yeah. It got kind of painted on, but once in a while, you can see a top of a red sock hanging out, you know. And so it would have been too much of a project to take all that apart. And I think it lends atmosphere. I've gotten some people say, hey, prayer works. I think it's an untapped resource. I think it's a very powerful resource, and I'd like to encourage everybody.
A renewable resource, too.
It's a renewable
Yes.
resource, it is, every day.
Well, you're at Galbraith Lake, where my painting class is all spread out over the tundra here working. Brooks Range Painting.
This is a good spot, huh? There's a lot of painters up the stream, so if bears are coming down the stream, I've got plenty of warning.
A few human shields along the way.
Yeah.
I had a painting slashed by a bear here. Claw marks through the painting all the way across, torn to ribbons.
Everyone's a critic, I guess.
I think the UAF Museum is going to get it. They want it. I've gotten quite a bit of mileage out of that. I got a paragraph in the New York Times.
Oh, wow. I never would have thought there'd be so many occupational hazards for a painter out in the wilderness. Look at this guy.
Yeah, I got a couple dead mosquitoes in there.
Have you taken any instruction in art before?
25 years ago, I took a class in college. That's about it.
Like riding a bike, I bet.
Yeah, sort of. I'll probably be up here painting all night at the rate I'm going.
For someone that's not going to eat any of this pizza, you're doing great. I am the cook slash camp guide slash pack the portable toilets and the contents that are excreted into the bags guy. We might have our first pizza up, so anyone that wants the experimental pizza, come and get it. Just gotta have a positive attitude. That's all that really matters.
The first one had a lot of sauce. It was pretty sloppy.
How is it?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Well, it is midnight on the solstice, and as you can see, it is still completely broad daylight here at Galbraith Lake. Before I go to bed, though, I am going to do a little late-night fossil hunting, so I will see you in the morning. It's like a mollusk shell, maybe, or a walnut. Our next stop is someplace pretty unique. Now, this is a place that the public is not allowed to visit, and very few people have ever been up here, but we have special permission, and we're going to show you what it's like. The place is called Toolik Field Station.
At the present time, we have about 350 to 400 people who pass through researchers every summer.
We are weeding the tundra.
It's a species removal experiment. The idea is to look at the way that the plant species found most commonly in the Arctic are going to interact in the event of climate change.
We've already been through this plot once to remove all the moss, and now we're just going back to make sure we don't miss these guys because they get pretty small. We spent 5 days on one plot.
We know that the Arctic is warming about twice as fast as the rest of the world, and the climate has gotten noticeably warmer here. Almost all the long-term records show that there was a dramatic warming between the 70s and the 90s. The permafrost is getting warmer. In the lake, the temperatures show a pretty steady increase up until about 2000, and there's a slight dip, and now they're going up again. The snow cover is ending earlier at Point Barrow. They see that the snow melts off about a month earlier than it used to. There's a variety of things that all say, observations that say that the Arctic is warming. And certainly the correlation of shrubs with the warm period in the remote past suggests that they're expanding now because it's warming also. So I think that we won't see something like this, you know, in the next, 50 years or whatever, but there is going to be an expansion of shrubbiness. That might actually be the most widespread change that you see inland, away from the coast, on the land.
At several spots along the Dalton Highway, the road borders the gates of the Arctic National Park up to the west and the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, or commonly known as ANWR, to the east, and that's what's behind us right here. So what we're doing is we're preparing to take an overnight hike into the refuge, and what I'm doing is packing some provisions into this, a BRFC, bear-resistant food container, courtesy of the Visitor Center at Coldfoot. My friends have told me I sound too much like a politician when I call it ANWR, so herein it shall be referred to as the refuge. Imagine an endless landscape of beaded pillows that give about 3 to 9 inches every time you step on them. And it's pretty much the sensation. It's really hard, really punishing on the feet and on the legs, because basically it feels like you're walking uphill with every step, whether you're walking uphill or not. So in front of me right here sits 19.6 million acres of land that comprises the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. And we're just sitting on the edge of it right now, but if you were to walk from the southernmost point to the northernmost point of the refuge, you'd encounter an incredible array of different distinct ecosystems at work. You'd start off in the boreal forest, you can make your way over the Brooks Range through glaciated areas, come down to the rolling tundra, and eventually make your way to the coastal plains, and without seeing any evidence of civilization whatsoever. It's pretty amazing. Now, one thing I do have to tell you. Sitting here on this ridge, looking out over this land that is the center of such a political firestorm currently, it is remarkably peaceful. Here we are, 414 miles later, we are in Deadhorse. The decisions, as you can see, are myriad. Deadhorse is definitely on that list of places I never thought I would be in my entire life, but here I am. Deadhorse is a workers' town. It got its name from the gravel company used when building the first airstrip here, the Deadhorse Haulers from Fairbanks. It mainly refers to the business area concentrated around the airstrip, the remainder of town being Prudhoe Bay. People have lobbied for the more accurate Prudhoe in the past, but it's hard to beat a moniker like that. The town is equipped to handle tourists, but it doesn't exactly cater to them.
The tourists that come up here, I don't know what they're expecting to see, but most of them are pretty excited about what they've seen and, you know, go back with a good experience. A lot of tourists come up here, and I had a lady last year. She got up here, she got off the airplane, and she screamed at me, "Do not even take my bags in that building. You get me on the next jet smoking out of here." And I had to get her on the airplane right away. She was not going to stay here.
Wow.
She was not what she expected. She thought she was coming to the Ritz, and that wasn't going to happen. How you doing, partner?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. They should be told that they're going to stay in the same accommodations that a worker stays in. And I think that would be more attractive to them to think that they're like a real slope worker.
Yeah.
When they come here into this hotel, they get that experience.
You're here in the dead of winter when there's no sun for 3 months.
Yeah.
How do
How do you keep from going insane up here?
You don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, that's when it gets you, you know? When I used to do incinerator burns and it's 40 degrees below zero, I used to hate working with guys that say, oh, it's cold. And, you know, I don't even think about it. Excuse me. Prudhoe Bay Hotels, Clyde, may I help you? Yes, you want to make a tanning appointment? For what time? You got it, brother.
Well, he just rode up the highway and decided it was a little tough, so now he wants to get a ride out. He's going to pay anybody $100 if they'll give him a ride back to Fairbanks. Most people that come up do finish their trip and ride on out, but he's just not going to make it. We'll go look at his bike. That's all he has. So I imagine he's sleeping around here somewhere. Well, we know where he's sleeping right now. I'm sure somebody will.
The road is not, it wasn't not that bad. I think there were 700 kilometers going slowly, 50 kilometers per hour sometimes.
The toughest thing about riding, which we've been riding at night, is that we're
at night.
At night is that we're constantly riding into the sunset. I mean, and the sun's on a low horizon point the whole time, so it's in your eyes. And between the sun in your eyes and the dust being shot up by these big semis, and the pebbles also flying at you. I mean, that's the rough part. The road's, it's rough, but it's, you know, it's the little things that you don't expect.
I mean, in this trip, it's the first time I sleep in a tent in my whole life.
Wow.
That's like my first night. It was take care about birds, and I was, how I do that.
How are you handling it so far? The tent
perfect.
sleeping?
Yes, I went 1 month, and I wanted this so much in my life that I don't care. You can see the scratches. It fell, and we find it 5 kilometers before. And the important thing is that we find the wine, because 2 bands go across us, and I said they might sell the wine and they stole it, or it might be broken. But we have the wine, and we will celebrate tonight. We get here to Dead Horse.
Right now, there is no roads out to the Arctic Ocean here on the North Slope, other than through the oil field here. And all through this area, all the way until we get actually to the oil field, is called Contractors Row. So everything that you see here belongs to all the different contractors. All these big red trucks, again, is Veeco. Their trucks are always red. Veeco is the only Alaska-owned company here on the North Slope. Sure, if everybody's heard of Halliburton, our Vice President Dick Cheney used to be the CEO of it. This is one of 2 areas that they have here.
Now, some people might think that a tour of an oil facility is kind of an odd attraction.
To the right again is And if we are outside and a polar bear was to appear, then we need to move back to the bus as quickly as we can. Usually the polar bear will get the last one. So I'll be the last one, but if you see me passing you, that means he's really, really close. So you're gonna have to hurry a little bit more.
Well, this is it. Put up or shut up time. I'm actually going to get into the Arctic Ocean now. This will make 3 out of 4 oceans I've swam in. Hopefully the last ocean, the Indian Ocean, should be a little warmer than this, but here we go. So,
Are you going in?
No, I'm not.
I'm a little nervous. You know, being an Alaskan, I'm used to being cold, but I've never been soaking wet and cold. 3, 2, 1, go. Sweet mother of God, I've never been colder in my life.
I missed a shot. I need you when you're coming back up out of the water. Can you run back out there? We'll do it all over again?
I think that'll be fine, yeah.
Oh, come on.
A week ago, I woke up in my bed in Fairbanks, extremely warm. 500 miles and 7 days later, here I am, Prudhoe Bay, swimming in the Arctic Ocean. This has been one of the most exhilarating and memorable experiences I've ever had in my entire life. And also one of the most bone-chilling and ludicrously cold experiences I've ever had in my entire life. But I'm glad I did it. Something to tell the kids someday, I suppose.
For more information on the places visited on this or other episodes of Anywhere Alaska, as well as behind-the-scenes photos and additional travel options in the state, you can find us online at anywherealaska.org.
To order a DVD of the first 4 episodes of Anywhere Alaska, send $29.95 plus shipping and handling to KUAC TV, P.O. Box 755620, Fairbanks, Alaska 99775, or order online at anywherealaska.org. This program is funded in part by the University of Alaska, by the University of Alaska Geography Program, and by the University of Alaska Fairbanks, America's Arctic University. Additional funding provided by the Alaska Travel Industry Association, promoting travel in the state of Alaska.